It happened. It happened. I've been saying it for 2 long years. I was Googling my tweets. I was saying it in the Rocket series. I said the gap is closing on the Warriors. I said unless they make some big free agent acquisitions this offseason, last offseason, that they won't be getting the ring this year. And it happened. I said Raptors in 6. And what happened? Raptors in 6. I said they go to Oracle one last time and shut it down. And what they do, they went to Oracle one last time and shut the arena down. I said it. I know a little. But I don't want to spend my time harping on that because, I'm always living in the future. I don't really, live in the present. Like, every time something happens, I'm always thinking about, like, what's the next moment after this. First of all, I wanted to say prayers up to Klay Thompson. We found out that he tore his ACL last night. Prayers up to Klay Thompson. But today, I want to talk about Bob Myers. Bob Myers had the famous quote that, said that, his organization and the Warriors are light years ahead of the rest of the league. Well, it's time to innovate. He going to have some work to do. A lot of work. Again, this is really real live. So if y'all heard that, my bad. Again, this is real live. But anyway, he going to have some work to do. There was a report. Michael Thompson, who's Klay Thompson's father, came out and said that Klay 100% plans to re-sign with the Warriors. So that's probably about like $40 million right there in dead cap. I think his max will probably be like 160, 170 if I'm not mistaken. However much money, in like probably $40 million in dead cap right there. Kevin Durant, well, at earliest, Klay will probably be back late February, but probably I would assume, Jesus. But anyway, probably I would assume that he would be out at least for 3/4 of the year. But I'm gonna just say I personally think that depending on how the season goes, I honestly think you just sit and rest both of them next year. KD definitely probably will not be back next year. Like I said, Klay is a maybe, but me personally, I would probably just rest him. But regardless, you're gonna have about close to $100 million in dead cap. So dead cap is money on the books that isn't helping you on the court. So you're gonna be paying these guys, and they still count towards the salary cap, but they won't be helping you on the court. I don't know if they can get some type of they may be able to get some type of hardship thing from the NBA, where like they'll give you maybe like $8 million in cap space that you shouldn't have, but they'll give you $8 million because you trying to fill out the roster. So maybe they can apply from that from the league. I don't know, but right now we're gonna say that they have $90 million in dead cap, right? Cool. So, what's your next move, Bob? What you gonna do? How you gonna fill out the rest of the roster? Draymond's coming up. What you gonna do about Draymond? Do you trade Draymond this offseason? Try to get some young guys, some guys that can help you in 2023, 2024, 2025 to go into that next great era of Warriors basketball? Or do you look to retain Draymond? Do you just let his contract run out? What do you do with Draymond? Iggy's getting old. I think Iggy wants to come back though. Livingston might retire, so that maybe free up like $4 million. Boogie probably obviously won't be there. Looney, I think at this point you may want to retain Looney. So, but that puts you deeper into luxury tax, trying to retain Kevon Looney. I mean, look, I think he'll probably end up being. I think if I'm not mistaken, he'll be a restricted free agent. I think I will have to look it up, but I think he might be a restricted free agent. Which if he is, I mean, some team comes in, throws like 40 to 50 million at him, which could very well happen. I think Kevon Looney has played his way into a very, very nice contract. I don't think the finals was the best representation of everything that Kevon can bring, obviously because his fucking ribs are broke. So I don't think that's like the best representation of everything that Kevon can bring. But regardless, I do think that Kevon served himself well and earned himself a contract this year with his play in the playoffs. But what do you do? I mean, look, my colleague, my homie, TPJ is saying the dynasty is over. I'm not going that far. It's not over yet. I mean, look, the one thing you worry about guys returning from injury is, like with Klay, I'm not worried about his offense. Like, Klay's not a high flyer. I mean, the play he got hurt on was pretty much a freak accident. Like he tried to dunk. Like how often do you see Clay dunk? He tried to dunk and just kind of just landed wrong. I don't know if he was maybe landing a certain way to compensate, the fact that his thigh is hurting, where his hamstring was strained. I don't know, but I really think it's just a freak accident, and he just landed wrong. But I have no doubts that he's a shooter, so I don't think an ACL really affects you too much when it comes to shooting. But what I do worry about is his defense, because also what made Clay such a dynamic player was the fact that he was also one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. Now look, I said he didn't deserve to be on the all defensive team. I still don't. I still think Harden should have got more votes this year than Klay Thompson did for the all defensive team, because his defensive numbers were just better. But obviously Klay is one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. Like if I need a stop, I'll probably pick Klay over like a lot of people in the league. But so that's the thing I worry about with him is like his defense. Same with KD. I don't doubt that he'll be able to return to scoring for him. Now he may not. He may lose some of the explosiveness. He may lose a step or two. His speed may not be the same. But, obviously he's 7 feet with a 7'6" wingspan. He can still pretty much shoot over most people. You can still post him. He can still catch and shoot. He'll be fine. My thing with him also is defense, because also what made KD so dynamic was a lot of nights he's the best defender on the Warriors. Shout out Draymond, but a lot of nights the best defender on that Warriors team is Kevin Durant. So, my thing is, Bob, it's time to GM. It's time to GM, Bob. You said you light years ahead. I want to see it. What's your plan? You should they should already be in the offices working on 2023. Already be in the offices right now working on 2023. Because I want to know what they do next season. Do you tank next season? Like, do you see how it... But I don't think you want to tank, because obviously it's your first year in the Chase Center. So I think you want to put out a winning competitive basketball team. Like, look, if you got Steph and Draymond out there and Looney, you'll get to the playoffs. Steph and Draymond and whoever else you get to play with them. Obviously, you can't get top-level guys because you just don't have the money to. But you can plug in some other pieces. They found Alfonso McKinney. You can probably find some guys through the G League that, fall through the cracks. That should be able to get you to the playoffs. But my thing is, how are you going to set yourself up for that next great era of Warriors basketball? Obviously, everybody has to heal, correctly. And we pray that there's no complications. So, first of all, everybody has to heal. But how are you going to set yourself up for that next great era of Warriors basketball? Because, look, Clay's 21 right now. I think his birthday is in February. So by the time he comes back from the ACL, he'll be 30. I think by the time KD comes back from his injury, he'll be 32. If I'm not mistaken, Steph is like 31 right now. I think Dre is heading towards his 30s, but we don't even know if Dre's going to be around for that next era of Warriors basketball. But regardless, Steph, Clay, and KD, all about 30, 31, right? So you assume with this era, and this the technology that's around that allows players to play longer, you assume that you got at least at minimum 2 more runs left in you. So how you gonna get to these other 2 runs? Like, okay, obviously next year's a wash, right? The year coming back, KD will be coming back off the Achilles. Usually takes you another year to really get fully in swing. Same with Clay. Yeah, he might come back next season, but it'll be late in the season. The year after, the 2020-2021 season, he'll just be working himself back into it as well. But now you look at the 2022-2023 season, I think that's the year that you target, and you like, you know what, we can make another run in 2022 and 2023, as well as, so from 2022 to 2024, we can make another run. So I think that, hey, look, like I said, Bob, if you say you like years ahead, you talk the talk, okay, well, get to GMing. Get out there and play my GMO with the sliders on hard. With the sliders up. Go out there and play them. Go out there and play. You was talking big shit when you was up and you was front running. Let's see it. If you like years ahead, I want to see the ball in your court, Bob. You sent KD out there, got that man Achilles torn. I'm not going to, say anything about the Clay thing because, again, that was a freak accident. Like, the Clay thing you really can't control. Now, granted, maybe he landed a certain way because he didn't want to, put too much stress on, like, his hamstring. But still, that's a freak accident. Even when he fell, I didn't think he tore anything. I thought he, like, hyperextended something or, like, strained his knee. But I didn't think that he actually tore anything, which sucks. Especially with everybody getting hurt so late in the season. It's like they got hurt so late in the season that it really doesn't even at all allow a chance for return next year. I mean, they'll probably be starting rehab when most players are, in the process of doing summer workouts trying to get better. So again, they won't even figure out what their body still even allows them to do until the summer of, until the summer of 2021. Neither one of those guys will like really find out what their body allows them to do still. Neither one of them. So again, I think that you target 2022 to 2024 and you like, you know what, we can make our run there. But again, I just think it'll be very, very interesting to see where the Warriors go from here. I don't think it's over with. I think they'll still be a very competitive team. I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with for a while. I think that Steph has learned some things from this finals. Regardless, I think that this is the best finals he's played, and it's not even close. TPJ was saying he choked. I don't think he choked. It just goes back to my theory of why I don't believe in building around smaller guards. I think that's the hardest way to success. If you look at the last 40 years, right? The only teams built around guards to win are the Pistons and the one Warriors ring. I only say the one Warriors ring because, again, my theory about building around a guard is this, right? If you build around a guard, you need another guy that's the go-to guy or the best player on that team, right? Because they can do more things in spite of. Like KD, he's 7 feet, again, 7 feet, 6'7" wingspan. If KD actually needs to go out and lead every team in all statistical categories to win a series, Kevin Durant can probably go out there and do that just because of sheer size and the ability to impose his will on the game on both sides of the ball because of how big he is. Steph just can't do that. Like you see down the stretch, he's worn down. Also, he uses screens to get open, right? His size makes him depend a lot on his teammates, which is also why I think he's such a good teammate, because he understands I need these guys. He's not the best isolation player. He can't just shoot over people. Like KD can shoot. Same with Kawhi. I think his athletic limitations allow him to be such a great teammate because he physically just can't do everything in spite of. Again, when people was like, oh, well, why didn't Kawhi take the shot over two people? What people don't understand about Kawhi is Kawhi's vertical was like 28 inches. I think at max, it's between 28 and 31. Steph Curry, just like in comparison, has a 35.5 vertical leap, or at least that was his combine vertical. You know else who has a 35.5? Blake Griffin. So Blake Griffin and Steph Curry actually have the same vertical leap. Kawhi has a 28. I think it was either 28.8 or like 30 or something like that. Regardless, he doesn't jump that high. He's really not that athletic. So when Iggy and Clay came out to double him, both of them 6'7", and put their hands up, he really physically can't jump over them and fade and get that shot away. Mike had a 48-inch vertical. He can shoot that bitch over anybody because he jumping 48 inches in the fucking air. You can't contest it at a certain point. So again, I think that their athletic limit. I think his athletic limits, his stature, his size and stature limitations allows him to be such a great teammate because he physically cannot do everything in spite of. If he's a dick to Looney and Looney decides, I don't want to set screens today, that's going to severely affect Steph's performances. Which even last night, Looney's like this whole finals, right? The reason why I think that Steph didn't shoot so great is because it was very hard. Like when they would use him, obviously they were trapping him doing the boxing one when he had the ball. Then off ball is very hard for you to get open, which is why Boogie, I felt like Boogie's impact was mostly felt. I felt the physicality that he brought to the game and also his screening. He was probably by far their best screener, I want to say, in these finals. Not Looney. Usually it would be Looney, but Looney has a fucking broken rib. I'm not really trying to set screens if my rib is broken. Like I don't want people running into my chest when I have broke ribs. That hurts. Like every screen is bone crushing. That hurt. It hurts to set screens with broken ribs. So again, I'm not going to jump on Steph. I'm not going to say Steph choked. It just goes back to my theory. I don't believe in building around smaller guards. Players under 6'4". And if you do, that player under 6'4" cannot be the best player on your team or the go-to guy. Literally, in the past 40 years, 3 rings wound up like that. 3. 2015 Warriors and the back-to-back Pistons. And a lot of people say the Pistons wasn't even playing basketball. They were just tackling people. So basically, what I'm telling you is that's an anomaly. When KD came, makes more sense. KD can physically impose his will on the game in any type of scenario. Again, if you need the man to go out there and lead you in every single statistical category, Kevin Durant can realistically do that. You cannot even call plays for KD. You can throw KD the ball, walk to the other side of the court, and be like, hey, figure it out. I know you can do that because I saw it with my own 2 eyes. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the Clippers series. Kevin Durant's series against the Clippers is one of the greatest offensive exhibitions I've ever seen in my life from one player. But regardless, you'll still have these guys. So they may not be what they were before, but they will still be very, very all-star level players. So now, the thing about it now is how will you fill out the rest of the roster? By that time, Iggy would be gone. By that time, Livingston would be gone. I'm assuming Draymond would be. I feel like Draymond might have played his way out of town with his performance in these finals. Like, yes, he basically ended up averaging a triple-double, but I didn't notice his numbers didn't have the impact. Like when I watched the game, I didn't know he had the numbers he had. Like he had like 8 assists in the first quarter, like 8 assists and 8 rebounds. I had zero idea that he had 8 assists and like 8 rebounds, right? He had, I think, 18 and 19 rebounds last night. I had no idea, literally. I noticed the 8 turnovers. I noticed those. I feel like Draymond's decision-making might get him put out of town eventually. I don't know if you want, like Draymond said, he don't want nothing less than the max. I don't know if I'm Golden State, if I'm willing to offer him the max next season. I don't think I am. I think losing Draymond is Draymond's gonna be tough to replace. But I don't know if I'm willing to offer Draymond again a max contract. Especially after the Portland series was great, but you gotta think Portland isn't really physically equipped to guard you. Also, you're going against Canner, who had a separated shoulder, so he's not trying to bang like that. Nurk broke his leg, he wasn't there. And I've had Zach Collins and like Myers and who did ball out in game 4, but still, like that's like, you know, like the Portland series was just fool's gold. And even still, they were down 17 in 3 straight games in that Portland series. Portland's supposed to win at least 1 or 2 of those games. So the Portland series was fool's gold. Like I said, if they fall down 17 against the Raptors or the Bucks, I can assure you they will not be making any comebacks. But again, Bob Myers, it's your time. The ball is in your court. I want to see what Bob Myers is going to do. As soon as that final buzzer sung and they shut down Oracle, I don't know where the Warriors office is. Bob Myers took his ass to the Warriors office and got to work. You say you light years ahead, right? Light years, right? Okay, prove it to us. What you thinking about? You should be thinking about 2023. Fuck next year. Fuck 2022. You should be thinking about, well, not fuck 2022. You should be thinking about the 22-23 season. First of all, it's crazy. We're almost in 2020. Like that is wild. But anyway, you should be thinking about the 22-23 season. Right now, that's what you should be thinking about. That. Not even next year. Forget next year. You said you light years. That means you 3, 4, 5, 6 steps, 7 steps ahead of everybody. Okay, show it. GM. Get to GMing. Get to GMing. You caught people by surprise. Well, actually, you see, what health is what allowed this Warriors dynasty to start, right? Steph had ankle problems. So because he had ankle problems, he really wasn't able to play up to his worth. Also because he had ankle problems, he probably took he took the 40, I think it was 4 years, $40 million. He takes the 4 for 40 because I have ankle concerns. Like, I'm not going to pass up on, he honestly probably should have turned down the contract and just, because I think the year he signed it, I think he averaged like 22. I think he signed it before he averaged like 22. I think he signed it going into that year. He probably should have turned that down and just played out the year. But once I have ankle concerns, and you know, I don't know what's gonna happen to my ankles. Like, those were career-threatening injuries. I'm taking this bag, and we'll figure that out later. I'm securing this $40 million first. So he secures $40 million, and then he breaks out and becomes an MVP on literally, like, he's getting he got basically grossly. He was the most underpaid player in the league throughout that whole period, when he was on that contract. But that allows you to build it. That allows you to go out and get an Iggy. That allows you to, have a Bogut on the roster. That allows you to pay Clay, like Clay got paid before Steph. That allows you to pay Clay $70 million. It allows you to build a bench you had when you had Barbosa, you had Livingston, a younger Livingston. You had Spates, you had Azili was on the team. That allows you to go out there and build that because the cap issues that most teams would usually run into, you didn't run into them because your best player was grossly underpaid. So basically what allowed this whole thing to start was Steph being underpaid. Ain't nobody underpaid now. You're going to have 3 guys on maxes, like maxes. 2 of them with a super max. KD and Steph got a super max. I think KD's coming back now. I think that KD has never, again, I don't think KD has ever felt more of a warrior than he did when he tore his Achilles. I think that, even, his brothers, Iggy walking him back to the locker room, Steph leaving the bench to walk him back to the locker room, I think that meant a lot to him. Like, maybe he might have his issues with Bob Myers. I don't know, like I don't know how close he is with management. But I think that the bond that he has with those guys that he's out there with every night, I think that'll bring him back, especially after injury. Especially with Clay going down. They probably feel like, we let one get away, and we want to, we want to come back strong and try to get 2 more, 3 more, So, again, what allowed this whole thing to start is the fact that Steph wasn't healthy, and you didn't have to pay him the way that you had, the way that usually you would have to pay a player, So, like, if he doesn't get hurt, and then you got to give him a max off, off the rookie deal, you probably don't have the money to go get a Barbosa, or maybe you can't pay Iggy as much money. Maybe you can't bring in an Iggy. Maybe you can't bring in these key guys that allowed you to get to where you got to. But again, now you got 3 people on maxes. You gonna have 3. You gonna have Clay on his max. You already got Steph already on the super max, and you got KD. And I think Draymond still getting $84 million. I don't even want to do the math, but I feel like that's about $200 million in cap right there, just between those 4, right? And then you got to fill out the rest of the roster. So again, this is not about Steph. It's not about the Warriors. Heart of a champion. They all fought. They sometimes attrition just catches up to you, but we don't remember that. All we remember is who won. In 50 years, we not going to know, that Looney was hurt and that had an effect, that, Clay went down. We not going to remember that. All we going to remember is the Raptors won, and the Raptors are NBA champions. Shout out the Raptors. But again, this is on Bob Myers. Bob Myers, what you going to do? Let's see it, Bob. You said you light years ahead. Let's see it. You better be in that office right the fuck now. Working. Literally. As soon as that motherfucking buzzer sounded, you should have took your ass to the goddamn Warriors offices immediately and got to work on 2022, 2023. I think that's your next window. We look, man, we are heading for a new era in the NBA. It is gonna be very interesting to watch. Are the Warriors still gonna be able to dominate it? Or do you just come back to the pack and it's like, you're still a really good team, but you don't really have any real chance to contend? So we gonna see. What you gonna do, Bob? Bob, what you gonna do? Get the men some help. It's on you now. They done been very, very good to you. You done got very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. But it's on you now. Get the man some help. Get him some help. So yeah, man. Pal Daily Hottakes. Holla at y'all later.